I have to talk about Top Chef.
Of course, yeah. Who watches Top Chef here? Anybody? Thank you.
Right. I mean, you'd already done a couple of cookbooks when you started Top Chef. You'd done cooking shows on Food Network. And yet, you write about how you felt insecure with these other hosts. How on earth could you feel insecure, and what made you feel like you finally fit in?
I felt insecure because, you know, our show is not like how to make the best bundt cake or, you know, whatever. It's a professional chef's show. And I am not a chef. I'm a food writer. I've never worked the line at a restaurant. I don't want to. You know, I'm happy to sit in my chair and do what I do. But I was around all these great chefs. And I think, yes, I had written 2 cookbooks and I had done a couple of shows on the Food Network. But I wasn't part of that chef culture. I didn't hang out with them. I didn't even know who a lot of them were, you know, until I met them and it was explained to me, oh, they have this. I mean, I knew the restaurants. I knew what, you know, I knew what French Laundry was, or I knew what Gramercy Tavern was, but I didn't know the names of each of those chefs. You know, the culture, the cult of the famous chef is something that's come about recently, and I'm sorry, I think we've had something to do with that as well. So I didn't go to culinary school, so I felt really like, I thought that everyone else knew more than me and stuff, but then something happened to me, and it was sort of after we got those Emmy nominations, I think, too, and, you know, I just felt like I didn't have to know all of that stuff. I started getting good at my job, I think, when I figured out shortly after the first season that I needed to be your representative. I needed to be the audience representative because, you know, if you watch The Voice, you can decide if he or she sings well. You know, even on Project Runway, you can see if you like the clothes they've sewn. But on my show, you're really looking to us to describe the experience of eating that food. And so I just figured out I was going to have this experience, and I was going to have it fully, and I was going to communicate it to our viewers in as much as I could and as descriptively and vividly as possible.
In part of the book, you talk about the double standards on the show.
And not on the show, but
not
just
on the show, but
on television.
And in the media. And you write about particularly a review in the New York Times and how you were judged differently than your co-hosts. And I have to quote, "The men in the show have it easy, in part because men on TV have uniforms. I'm the one who has to look like a glorified weather girl." And it's true.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to meteorologists everywhere, but no, yes, it's true. Like, you know, nobody asked Tom how he keeps his figure, you know, being on Top Chef, but...
And a suit hides so much. I mean, you can never tell, you know, how much somebody weighs under a suit.
That's right. I mean... You know, there was a lot of focus put on the article that you're citing was a huge article in the New York Times. It was generally favorable about the show, but it spent a long time talking about what I wore and you know, being a little snarky about that. Frank Bruni has since apologized to me for that piece. He realized that it was probably not the right way to go. But, you know, I think there's a double standard in everything, and there's a double standard in television, and in Hollywood in general. I mean, we've been talking about it a lot with how white Hollywood is, but, you know, I think it's not a myth. There, you know, after 40 or after a certain age, women are considered different, and because before 40, they're only considered through a certain lens, and you have to fight not to be considered for just that. Again, I have a very layered and complicated body with experience and relationship with my body, my appearance, but I did feel like there was a double standard a lot because I felt like I had to look a certain way because I was the host of the show and whatever, but why? Why did I have to look like that? It didn't matter. It had nothing to do with my ability to host or judge or anything, and now I've kind of made peace with it.